Some people learn to hack in video games so that they can have an easier time in the game. Some people do it to make some cashola. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, 10 hackers who stole from video game companies. Now there are a couple of these we've previously mentioned in other videos, like the time those hackers mined like $16 million from EA by hacking the FIFA coins. A publisher allegedly hacked the sinking city and changed the source code, etc. That type of stuff, but we actually have some totally fresh things that we've never talked about, and a few that we've briefly covered or covered in a different context. So without any further ado, starting off with number 10, a time that this hacker bribed his way into a bunch of Roblox accounts. So this was, maybe not the most ingenious hack of all time, but a hacker actually bribed a worker of the Roblox company in order to gain access to the customer support panel, and using this was actually able to get various users' email addresses, change passwords, turn off two-factor authentication. He was able to ban people. Now, the hacker didn't do this to be malicious or steal anyone's money or data or anything like that. They just wanted to show how easy it was to get into the Roblox system. My guess would be that that would mean that somebody who's actually in the Roblox community or is a fan or user on Roblox, perhaps even a concerned parent who really knows. But that's really what you have to think about in this type of an incident. Roblox is primarily a platform/game that is engaged with minors, and if it's that easy to get access to their data, that's kind of scary. It also makes me wonder exactly how much they bribed this worker. At number 9, we are going to talk about the LulzSec 2011 PlayStation Network outage. This was a big event. I remember this clear as day. In fact, there are not a lot of events like this in gaming, particularly after the dawn of always online gaming consoles and platforms and stores and all this. This is not even the only time Sony had this problem either. Do you remember the Christmas one? Oh yeah, we remember the Christmas one. But this was just, in the middle of nowhere. LulzSec just decided, hey, let's do this. This was big. And I'm pretty sure it's why everybody takes security so specifically seriously at this point, because if you don't, you may end up shutting down everyone's everything for a long period of time. Specifically, the outage was 23 days, and on top of that, 77 million accounts had their private information exposed to the hackers. Now, it's not just that these hackers got into Sony, they totally disrupted everything about Sony here. And Sony didn't handle it well either. All in all, it was almost a month that this ordeal went on, and it was ridiculous. Interestingly enough, it also resulted in Cody Kretzinger, one of the hackers affiliated with the group that did it, LulzSec, to be sentenced to a year in prison due to his involvement in the hack. At number 8, hey, remember back when the Nintendo Switch was just being speculated about? Remember some hacker kept leaking information? Well, the hacker who actually got in and stole stuff from Nintendo was a minor at the time. The FBI got in contact with him, and because he was a minor, they didn't give him any jail time or anything like that. They just said, hey, you gotta promise not to do this anymore. He did promise, but he did not keep that promise. He kept on hacking. Nintendo, specifically, interestingly enough, seems like they'd be on high alert after you successfully done it, but So he got back in trouble with the FBI, shockingly enough, and he kept leaking information about the Nintendo Switch console and other things that Nintendo was doing, and figuring that no one would notice this. So in 2019, the FBI searched his house because, yeah, that's what happens. And they discovered literally thousands of private Nintendo file stuff that is not available to anyone. And then they also found about 1,000 instances of child pornography in a folder he labeled bad stuff. Which, dude, bad stuff? Like, this guy seems to understand that what he's doing is bad, but he keeps doing it, and he doesn't really make a lot of effort to not get caught between just continually hacking Nintendo and, I don't know, everything about the rest of it. First off, it's disgusting. Second off, did you not think of the possibility that an FBI raid could happen? It's both deplorable and really stupid. And number 7 is an event called the Gigaleak, which was just this huge series of leaks where internal Nintendo data was stolen en masse. This happened during the course of 2020 and was actually kind of quiet in terms of media coverage, but this was a big thing. A lot of us were paying attention to this. The name Gigaleak primarily refers to the leak from July 24th, 2020, last year, which was 3 gigabytes in size. Now, keeping in mind that a game can be much larger than 3 gigabytes, but internal documents and information, that does not take up nearly the amount of space that a game does. It's text, some of it's images, but it's a bunch of design stuff, it's contracted work done for Nintendo. It was pretty much unprecedented. There was nothing ever of this magnitude leaked from a video game company prior to this. I mean, this thing had older information from way back in the world, like Super Mario World sprites, including an early Yoshi, where he looked a lot more like a weird dinosaur. Yoshi's Island playable demo stuff. Tons of source code to games like Star Fox, Mario Kart, the official master ROM database for the entire Nintendo Entertainment System, the original NES. The whole thing is in this leak. There's tons of high-resolution manual art from Zelda games. It's really just fascinating when you start going through it. At number 6, this ransomware gang called Agrigore got all this Ubisoft and Crytek data, including the source code to Watch Dogs Legion, which, by the way, they just leaked online. It was a 558 gigabyte archive, and wow, is that not ironic as hell? You have this game about hacking and a hacking group hacks it and then publishes the source code. And what Egregor does is actually hold these companies hostage and make them cough up money so that their source code doesn't get published. So apparently Egregor actually did this to both Ubisoft and to Crytek and had 300 gigabytes of Crytek's data. And they threatened to release this stuff, but apparently they never got contacted, even at all, by Ubisoft or Crytek, so they just started publishing it. 558 gigabytes. That's a ton. I'm not going to download that. I don't even care if I want to mess around with the source code of that game. At number 5, Capcom employee data got stolen by Ragnar Locker, another ransomware gang. This one was potentially a lot more damaging to the everyday people that do the work of creating these games. You see, it was the personal information of the 16,415 Capcom employees. Also, about 390,000 customers' information got leaked, which contradicted what Capcom initially said about this intrusion. After admitting the extent of what information had been leaked, they also went ahead and said no credit card data had been leaked. But I still don't trust that. The hack took place in November 2020, and it took them several months to acknowledge it even happened, and then they were yeah, but no credit card information. I don't think that there's been a resolution to this, but I don't believe that. Sorry. At number 4, a security researcher that used to work for Malwarebytes actually avoided getting put into jail by pleading guilty to various hacks, including Microsoft and Nintendo servers, which happened in a sequence where he hacked Microsoft, got in trouble for it. He was arrested for it. He got bailed out, no restrictions were placed on his computer usage, and he just kept hacking. He got caught doing the exact same thing to Nintendo. And the stuff that he stole included source code to unreleased games, lots of usernames and passwords, and apparently he caused about $2 million in damage to both Microsoft and Nintendo. At least that's what both of the companies estimate. 1.8 million for Nintendo, 2 million for Microsoft. By pleading guilty, he was given a 5 years serious crime prevention order, where if he gets caught doing anything, he gets 5 years of jail time, no matter what. At number 3, a moderator who was playing Runescape actually abused his privileges to steal gold from players, which is not the same thing as a full-fledged hack. But I mean, if you have employee privileges and you're a moderator and you're stealing from your customers, and yes, they actually do spend money with you to get the things that you're stealing from them, you are kind of doing the same thing that a hacker does, albeit with some distinct advantages. The police were actually brought into the situation. It was a pretty serious thing. I get the incentive of an outside hacker from doing this, but if you work for the company, why would you do this? The reward is nowhere near enough. You're going to get in trouble. It's easy to track you. You're an employee. I don't get this one. I don't get why you would do that. Dumb. And number 2, if you remember way back in the day, 2013-ish, around Christmas time, there would always be DDoS attacks on like Sony, Steam, EA, all these things, and they'd be brought right the hell down. Well, the guy who did like the initial round of these and kind of started the trend, a hacker by the name of Derptrolling, he actually got 27 months in prison after having been tracked down from doing all of these different attacks on like PlayStation Network, Steam, Xbox Live, EA, Nintendo, Quake, Dota 2, like just got everything. Basically, it started a trend too where this happened pretty much every year and people would say like, oh, we're doing it for the lulz. We're gonna make families spend time with each other on Christmas, which is like, that's a flimsy excuse. You just want to do it, right? Yes. And finally, at number 1, this was a big one. Back in February, there was a big ransomware attack on CD Projekt Red, who was in the middle of trying to fix Cyberpunk. I mean, we all know how much people had a problem with Cyberpunk and how very little goodwill anyone has for Cyberpunk at this point. Even now. This was a few months ago too when this happened. The ransomware attack basically locked everybody out of their workstations for several weeks and exposed most employees' private information, including account information, to the point where CD Projekt Red recommended to all employees that they like freeze their accounts, which, considering they're not working for several weeks and on top of that don't really know what happened, are not in a good position. That is a bad position, in fact. This eventually resulted in 4 days ago a bunch of videos of like bug compilations for comedy's sake that CD Projekt Red had created about their game, which was buggy, and that was the problem. Oof, not going well for them. Anyways, that's all for today. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to click the notification bell. And as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at Falcon the Hero. We'll see you next time right here on gameranx.